In the small town of Valonia, the villagers had led a peaceful existence for generations. Nestled in the valley of rolling hills and dense forests, their lives had always been defined by the rhythms of nature. Nearby, a mountain stood majestic and silent, overlooking the town like a stoic guardian. To most, it was simply part of the scenery, a relic from an age long past, believed dormant by scientists and villagers alike. The mountain, known as Mount Umbra, had shown no signs of activity for centuries. The local schoolchildren had learned about volcanoes in their science classes, often gazing up at Mount Umbra with a mix of wonder and dismissive regard. They never imagined that their sleepy mountain could harbor the fury of fiery magma beneath its surface. It was a common belief, as old as tales of fairies and river gods, that nothing drastic or destructive would ever occur. Life was predictably serene, as predictable as the soothing whispers of the wind. Then came a chillingly beautiful spring morning. The sun had risen with a golden hue, casting a warm glow over the town. But as villagers went about their morning routines, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. It was subtle at first, barely perceptible, like the softest vibration from a far-off railway. The farmers paused, looked at one another in confusion, but dismissed it as nothing more than a fleeting oddity. As the hours passed, however, the tremors grew more frequent and intense. Still, no one quite knew what was happening. There had been no warnings, no alerts from the distant seismic monitoring stations that were largely considered redundant by the locals. Inside their homes, dishes rattled on shelves, windows creaked ominously, and the birds had all vanished from the sky. Fear began to ripple through the town, cloaked in a shroud of disbelief. It felt inexplicable, like an unseen specter was watching them, waiting to reveal its true shape and intent. Panic or evacuation had never been part of their vocabulary. As noon approached, the sky darkened abruptly, blotting out the sun with an eerie swiftness. It was not a storm that came, but a sudden, deafening roar, as if the earth itself was groaning in pain, accompanied by a violent quake that sent everyone stumbling. Mount Umbra erupted with terrifying grandeur, spewing ash and fire into the sky. The ground rumbled with a fury that could no longer be ignored or denied. The streets of Valonia became a frenzy of terrified calls and hurried actions as people scrambled to evacuate. Despite years of safety and serenity, they were now faced with the harsh reality of nature's overwhelming power. In a day, the assumption of permanence had shattered, replaced by primal instincts for survival. As the lava flowed down the mountainside, the villagers were forced to flee to safety, clinging to the glimmering hope they barely believed could exist after such betrayal by the earth they called home. Yet, amid the chaos, they realized an unsettling truth: that the mountain which watched over them was more than scenery, more than rock and soil. It was a breathing beast whose silence had been misread. The eruption was fierce but brief, leaving behind a scorched, smoking valley. With the passage of days, the townspeople cautiously returned, finding solace in the small mercies of life that remained. Nature was indifferent to their plight, and as reluctant as they were to accept it, understanding and respect replaced the old, dismissive regard. Life would continue in Valonia, perhaps a bit more wary, with an awakened respect for the power that lay beneath their feet. The mountain remained, no longer just a part of the scenery, but a potent, enduring reminder of how quickly the presumed safety of the familiar could transform into chaos. That which seemed obvious, the stillness and safety of their lives, had concealed a terrifying truth all along, one that was now etched into the very identity of Valonia.